Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, only professional grade with 5-year warranty. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Dickies, quality workwear since 1922. Yamaha, rev your heart.
Fall colors are out. We're here in beautiful Western New Brunswick on the shores of the St. John River for the Bath Fall Fair. It's one of the oldest fairs in all of New Brunswick. It's been held every Labor Day weekend since 1944. The Trevors Goodine Lumberjack competition is a big part of the weekend, as well as the International Balloon Festival. The Balloon Festival itself brings in about 12 to 15 different balloonists from all over the United States, the United Kingdom, as well as Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. Well, it's definitely a little bit soggy, and we're about to get started with the Trevors Goodine Lumberjack competition featuring the first heat of the Springboard Chop. Matthew Koger taking on Nathan Cumberland. We're going to throw it down to the field and Rod Cumberland.
Ben Cumberland, first guy to the block. Doesn't mean much so. It's usually 4 to 6 swings to make these pockets. Both guys like them, inserting that first board. Matt had a little trouble putting his board in, but Nate Cumberland's up now, swinging away for that second pocket. Like to go nice and deep on this second pocket so the board stands nice and firm. The duration of the chop. Nathan says he likes the look of that pocket. And it's Nate Cumberland, first guy up, and he's going to start whaling into this block. It's a good, solid board. Matt Koger right behind him. Matt's board, good. Great race here right now, ladies and gentlemen. Cheer him on here in the rain. 2 national champions going right at it here. Who's it going to be in the Springboard Chop? Wood seems to be a little bit firm here. They're actually chipping it out quite well. Axes seem to be moving the wood well. Put a big hole in the front, and then they turn around and have to actually swing their opposite way to bring it off. And it's coming now. Nathan Cumberland, first one down in the Springboard Chop. Matt Koger switched over to side number 2, putting a few drivers in, and he was not far behind.
All right, here with the winner of that heat of the Springboard Chop, Nathan Cumberland. Great cut, bud. Talk to me about those pockets, though. Looked like you had to take a couple extra hits.
Yeah, yesterday I really struggled with my pockets, so today I just really wanted to make sure I had good ones. When it's wet like this, you just want to stick to the basics. Up top, chopped a lot better than I expected.
That slashing motion in the back looked a little out of control there, especially in this weather. What was going through your mind there on those last couple blows?
Unfortunately, I was actually thinking of where Matt was. I didn't know if he turned or not yet, so I was kind of thinking, geez, I got to get going and I got to finish this off quick. So that last one was just kind of a Hail Mary.
Well, it was an awesome cut, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, looking at the first notch there by Nathan, looks like it was a little bit dangerous to get up on that first board, but he did make it to the top, set a time of 56.96 in that first heat of the Springboard Chop. The second heat, Donald Lambert from St. Gilles, Quebec, taking on the older brother of Nathan, Ben Cumberland.
Both guys off. Don Lambert, first guy to the wood. 4-swing pocket over here for Ben Cumberland. He's up on board number 1. Don Lambert not far behind with a 6-hit pocket. Now they're going to make these ones a little bit deeper, make sure they're going to hold for the duration of the chop. Ben likes his, and board number 2 is going in for Ben Cumberland. He's up now on that, and a really strong board. He's all set to go and wail away at that 11-inch block on the top. Don Lambert not too far behind. He's making sure his notch is nice and clean. Ben taking some big chunks out of this 11-inch round poplar. Axe seems to be sticking just a little bit. He's taking his time, making sure these swings all count. The Energizer Bunny's up, and he has a good board, and Don Lambert's now laying into his block. Ben's made a switch to side number 2. Starting to look to drive this off. Ben Cumberland getting close to that 1-minute mark. What's it going to be? It's down for Ben Cumberland. Let's stay behind Don Lambert. He's putting a big hole in the front of his log.
All right, here with Captain Can America, winner of that heat, Ben Cumberland. Ben, a little crazy up top, man. Third swing had me like, whoa. Talk to me about what happened.
Yeah, basically handle was just a little bit wet, got a little greasy, and just kind of, it stuck a little bit in the block, which kind of lost a bit of my grip on there and almost lost the axe, but thank the Lord it stayed in my hands, so yeah.
Well, in this wet weather, the Springboard Chop is a dangerous event. The boards themselves become very slick. The handles become very slick. You got to hold on to that axe handle. This next heat, Berlin Nickerson taking on Billy Cornelius. Still a time to beat is 56.96.
Berlin Nickerson, first guy to swing that axe into the upright pole here. And it's a 4-swing pocket, and board number 1 is in, and Berlin's up and going on pocket number 2 already. Billy making sure that first pocket is good, and it's a solid board. Both guys up working on pocket number 2, making sure the axe is going nice and deep, and they've got a good firm pocket for this board that they'll be spending most of their time chopping on. Berlin Nickerson with a good strong board, and he's going to wail away. Oh, big man's got to go back up and make that pocket a little bit bigger. Billy Cornelius now coming from behind here in the springboard chop as he starts into the wood, taking out his first few chips. Berlin's going to go a bit deeper, a little bit closer to him, making sure that pocket's going to hold. But Billy Cornelius getting into the block now and making good pace here with his axe, cleaning out the far wood and the near wood, and is working a great pattern here around cleaning out the far wood, and it's going well for Billy Cornelius. Berlin's up and going again. And Berlin going at this with a feverish pace, trying to reel in Billy Cornelius. Beautiful block for Berlin Nickerson as well, and his axe is chopping it well. Billy Cornelius is around to side number 2. Berlin Nickerson in a small wood. This is going to be a great race. Billy's block a little bit firm on the back, and Berlin's around to side number 2. Talk about coming from behind here. Can the lobster fisherman bring him in? Billy's taking, oh, and another tumble for Berlin Nickerson, and it's Billy Cornelius taking this heat of the springboard chop.
All right, here with Berlin Nickerson. Berlin, scary stuff in the tree, man. Talk to me about what happened.
Yeah, it's maybe scary for the spectators. I wasn't too worried. I'm used to jumping out of trees. I used to be a pole climber, so I wasn't worried about my safety, but sort of want to get at a good time there. But the tree just wasn't cooperating with me. I went with a pretty deep hole, but it just still, took like half the tree here. So I guess I'm just making firewood today and keep the family warm.
Well, even after a DQ, Berlin Nickerson has a great sense of humor. That slab was not going to hold any kind of a board. Nathan Cumberland wins a springboard chop with a 56-96. We're back here in Western New Brunswick at the Bath Fall Fair, one of the oldest fairs in all of New Brunswick. We're on the shores of the St. John River, and we are now halfway through the springboard chop. This next heat, Ben Nicely from North Carolina, taking on Paul Goger from West Virginia. The time still to beat from before the break, a 56-96.
Paul Koger, first guy to the block here in the springboard chop, making quick work of this. Nice 4-hit pocket, and he's got board number 1 in and up and going already. In the same league as Donald Lambert, being a Energizer bunny here. Paul Koger from Webster Springs, but Big Ben Nicely now getting firmly into this second notch. Nice deep pocket, and Ben says that's good enough for a guy like me, and he's got number 2 in. Both guys up together. We're gonna have a race here at the top in this 11-inch poplar. Both guys on solid boards, and they're swinging away here at this 11-inch round poplar. Ben Nicely opening up. A nice brown-looking poplar. That should be pretty soft wood as he's wailing away into it. And it's falling apart, but Paul Koger not going to be left behind. He's getting into the small wood on his block on the front face. Ben Nicely putting in a few drivers, and he's around to side number 2 already. Big Ben Nicely from Shelby, North Carolina is getting ready to drive this thing off as Paul Koger chips away on the smaller wood, trying to drive out that far wood from him. He's got it out of there now. Before he gets ready to turn around, it's going to be Ben Nicely taking first place in this heat.
Ben, all the way up from North Carolina, 23 hours of driving to be here. Great cut. Let's hear about it.
I appreciate it, yeah. It was a soft tree, soft wood up top. I did exactly what I wanted to do in the tree. I played it a little safe because it's a little slippery, raining outside. And could have went a little bit better up top with a little bit of punky wood, kind of sticky, but overall I was pretty happy.
Well, that's quite a wingspan there on Ben Nicely from North Carolina. Tall gentleman there, excellent body for a springboard chopper. This next heat is going to be the last heat. Scott Reed taking on Doug Armsworthy in a springboard chop. Still, the time to beat, way back in the first heat, Nathan Cumberland.
Scotty Reed, first one to strike the upright in the men's springboard chop. Making sure he's got a good deep pocket here. Doug Armsworthy keeping pace right with him. Scotty's got it cleaned out and likes the look of it. Board number 1 is in, and Scotty's up, wailing away here on pocket number 2. Doug Armsworthy not too far behind him. Doug Armsworthy, student from Maritime College of Forest Technology and also University of Brunswick championship team. learning the springboard chop, and he's doing a great job here getting pocket number 2. And Scotty Reed going deep, making sure it's going to hold him for this chop at the top. Both guys cleaning out the smaller chips. Scotty likes it. Dougie likes it. We're going to have a race here at the top. Both guys, the board's in, and they're up at exactly the same time. Good, strong boards by both competitors. They can stand right at the back of them and get all the spring they can off this springboard. Both guys keeping a nice smooth cadence here at the top. Chopping this 11-inch round poplar. Bringing all the strength they can muster here. Lots of points and money on the line here in the men's springboard chop. As they get into the small wood now. Trying to drive these axes in as deep as they can. Oh, and Scotty Reed, a mean tumble over there on his board. Doug Armsworthy not phased a bit, still wailing away here on his block, trying to get into the small wood and take things down. The water and the wet causing problems here. Scott's good, thank heavens he's up. Looks all right, axe looks all right. Doug Armsworthy into the small wood now, putting some drivers in before he turns around to side number 2. Scotty gingerly climbing back up here. He's going to finish his chop. Doug Armsworthy is on to side number 2. Not sure what went wrong there. Scott likes the look of it. He's going to go back up again. How about that for Scotty Reed? Back up again. Good effort by this guy. As Doug Armsworthy gets ready to slice things off over on his block, Scotty's back in and finishing up on his. So, and Scotty may reel in Dougie Armsworthy here. Oh, but Doug Armsworthy slices things down. Great effort here by Scotty Reed, winning the crowd over.
Scotty Reed, after that tumble, man, they say if you can't finish first, finish with something memorable. Talk to me about that cut, dude.
You know what? Springboard, not one of my good events. I had 2 nice strong boards, strong pockets. Got up there, had a nice block. Chopping great, so I figured I'd put some more speed to it. It's a wet day. Slipped on my front foot, and I was basically balancing with one, so I threw the axe one way and fell backwards the opposite.
That is key. You had the self-awareness to throw that axe. Is that something you've had to practice in training?
No, typically don't fall. I knew if I fell backwards with it, hard to control it. I had enough time to think. That's how tipsy the fall was.
Well, clearly the springboard chop is dangerous in wet weather. We had 2 falls. Berlin Nickerson landing like a cat. Scott Reed landing like a thud. Nathan Cumberland wins it with a 56-96.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Dickies. Quality workwear since 1922.
Back here at the Joe Trevors Francis Goodine Lumberjack competition at the Bath Fall Fair, we are now heading into the women's single buck. They're cutting through 16 inches round of trembling aspen. This first heat, Levon Michelacci taking on Jesse Swinemer.
And Roger McPhee sets him off in the ladies single buck. Levon Michelacci using all of that blade. Nice long strokes with her. Jess Swinemer also nice long strokes on that single buck saw. Alicia Schroeder, a little bit different technique, trying to shorten her saw, make it a little bit quicker cuts. Jess Swinemer with a couple of bobbles in the middle, but look at her sink down through that wood. Her saw is cutting the fastest of all of them. Levon Michelacci trying to catch up with her, but it's Jess Swinemer from Nova Scotia taking first place in the ladies single buck.
Jess, what a cut in the single buck. You said it was a new saw. Talk to me about that cut.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. The saws only had a handful of cuts, so I really liked the wood today, and yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Well, I know those KBT saws, they are brand new on the circuit. A lot of, athletes are using them out there. Talk to me about running it because it looked really smooth.
Yeah, this one we got is a 6-footer, so I think that's the right length for me. It's a 3-cutter, which I've never ran a 3-cutter before I bought this saw, but I like the way that it runs.
Well, the KBT saws they're referring to are Brad Turner saws coming up from Australia. That was the first heat of the women's single buck with a time to beat now at 23.12. This next heat, the second heat, Mary Reeder taking on Tess Billings.
Second heat, ladies single buck. Mary Reeder off to a really quick start over there on the left-hand side, pulling that whole blade. Tess a little bit of trouble here in the middle. That was a really aggressive blade, catching a few rakers. And Cam Findlay, look at the work she's doing down here on the far end. All the ladies right about midway through their log now. They need to turn it on as they get into the small wood at the bottom. And Mary Reeder doing just that as she gets into the small wood at the bottom. pushing really hard, using the full length of that blade. It's going to be Mary Reeder. First one down in the second heat of the ladies single buck. And a good race here for second and third place in this heat between Cameron Findlay and Tess Billings.
Making it worth it coming up all the way from Uniondale, Pennsylvania. Talk to me about that cut.
I had a few snags, just change the angle. The wood seemed good, the saw seemed to like the wood.
Excellent job there by veteran competitor Mary Reeder with a 27.63 from Pennsylvania. Still trying to beat is Jessie Swinimer with a 23.12 this next heat. Kendall Cornelius taking on Caitlin Reed.
And they're off. Final heat, ladies single buck. Caitlin Carroll doing a great job running that full blade. Kendall Cornelius also looking picture perfect right now as they get through the big wood in the middle of these logs. And it looks like Kendall is pulling away right now in the single buck. And a little hang there. Can Caitlin catch her near the end? Caitlin Carroll almost there, but it's going to be Kendall Cornelius taking this heat of the ladies single buck.
Great cut. Bit of a hang in the bottom. What happened in the bottom?
The wood was a lot softer than I expected it to be. I thought I could drive it off with the wood I had left, and I just didn't. It just kind of folded out from under me, just because the wood was a little soft. The fibers tore instead of cutting. So.
Great job there by Kendall Cornelius. She could have had a little bit under 20 seconds there if she didn't hang up at the end, but she wins the women's single buck with a flat 20 seconds. We're back here in Potato Country, which is western New Brunswick, in Bath, New Brunswick, just about 20 miles from the main border. We're here for the Trevors Goodine Lumberjack competition, which is part of the Bath Fall Fair, one of the oldest fall fairs in all of New Brunswick, been around since 1944. And just before the break, we showed you the top 3 heats of the women's single buck through 16 inches round of Trembling Aspen. Now we're going to show you the top 4 heats of the men's single buck. This first heat, Scott Reed and Donald Lambert.
And they're off and sawing. A little bit of a hitch on Donald Lambert in his first couple of swings, but Scotty Reed is into the big wood already, making a great cut here using the full length of that blade. Little bit of a hang for Scotty as he takes it down on the far bunt. Connor Morse right there with him.
Great cut there with that KBT saw. Is that new to you? That looked awesome, man.
It is a new saw, but I had quite a few hang-ups. Just not either used to the saw or the saw didn't really like the wood today.
Well, the wood seems to be on the firmer side for a lot of athletes, but you know, you can get into that soft stuff, what makes it really squishy. You think it was pretty firm?
It was a firm block, that's why I did choose the saw. As I said, I haven't pulled it in Popple before, didn't really know what to expect, and could have been my technique today. It's wet.
Well, a lot of lumberjacks speak there with Scott Reed, talking about hungry saws and aggressive saws and softwood and all that sort of stuff. Regardless, Scotty Reed is now at the time to beat, heading into second heat. This next heat, Jeff Larkin from Nova Scotia taking on Billy Cornelius from New Hampshire.
And they're off. Jeff Larkin, nice long full strokes. Billy Cornelius also doing a great job as he gets in the middle part of his wood, but look at Jeff Larkin over here on bench number 1, and he's the first one down. Annihilating that time to beat.
One speed in that, and that was fast. Talk to me about that cut, dude.
Just a cold day. Just trying to go quick here. It's really firm wood, so I wasn't really worried about hanging, just trying to get that speed up.
Yeah, you kept the pace on it, but looked like you definitely had the freight there. Is that a technique you've been working on? And talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, a few years. I've always had the weight, always had the technique. Speed's always been my lacking factor, so just working on that cadence all summer. So.
Well, Jeff Larkin has always been an excellent single bucker. Currently, he's the coach of the Dalhousie University Lumberjack team in Truro, Nova Scotia. And the last couple of years, he's brought home a couple of championship teams. This next heat, Nathan Cumberland taking on Matthew Koger.
And they're off, the lefty and the righty. Saw in the middle stage. Nate Cumberland, nice and smooth. Matt Koger, a little bit of a bobble there on one of his strokes. But Nate Cumberland's into the small wood, and he's going to drive it off. It's going to be Nathan Cumberland on bench 2. Matt Koger right behind him on bench 3. Mike Esch also in there, and Ben Nicely finishing things off in this heat.
Nathan, what a cut, man, but went right through a limb. Talk to me about that, man.
Well, you can see here on the block, actually, the limb is vertical. If you would cut that limb the other way, it's actually not as good. So cutting it this way is the optimal way to cut a knot. Granted, you don't want to cut them in general.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful saw. Great technique. You've been really working on that this year?
In all honesty, I haven't. We don't have a great training saw at home. So every cut I've done has been at the show pretty much, and just very blessed today.
Excellent job there by Nathan Cumberland in the men's single buck, lowering the time to beat 10:24, beating out Matthew Koger. This next heat, Nathan's older brother Ben taking on Mario Burke in the single buck.
Both cutters off to a good start here. Mario Bork using all the saw, but Ben Cumberland already in the meat part of the wood. As he gets into the small strokes, he's going to drive it up. How about that? Bench number 2. Mario Bork just finishing his off right behind him.
Smoker of a single buck, man. Looking like a man on fire. Talk to me about that cut.
Oh, you know, it just kind of, Popple's different because we don't really do single buck a whole lot anywheres in the world on Popple. But yeah, that was a decent cut. You know, the saw was pretty hungry, so I couldn't pull it as fast as I wanted to, but it went pretty smooth.
Well, definitely, man. It looks like good training. You're going to the World Championships in just a few weeks. This is all you're gonna be running over there?
Yeah, just trying to get in some more practice. I've had an injury there a couple weeks ago, so it's been 2 weeks of nothing, which is frustrating, obviously. But I don't know. It felt like I hadn't trained in 2 weeks, but apparently it wasn't. So.
Well, he's referred to by many as Captain Canada, and he will be representing Canada at the World Championships in a couple of weeks. Ben Cumberland wins the single buck with a 9.6. And our crown pivotal point from St. Gilles, Quebec is Donald Lambert, who wasted valuable time in his second pocket. Although it is important, you're going to get those pockets done if you want to be able to win a springboard chop. And our lumberjack of the day has to go to Scott Reed for his not-so-graceful fall off the second board of his springboard chop. He had the self-awareness of tossing that axe away, which made him our hero for the day here at the Trevors Goodine Lumberjack Competition. And many thanks to all our sponsors and volunteers for making this another successful event here in Bath, New Brunswick.
Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, only professional grade with 5-year warranty. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Dickies, quality workwear since 1922. Yamaha, rev your heart.
Men's single buck, a little bit of trouble over there with Berlin Nickerson getting started. Kyle Whitmore, nice and smooth right off the top, and he's already into the center part of this wood. Little bit of a hang, and Trevor Schofield also putting the heat to that log and the saw in the middle bunk. Berlin, and look at that, Kyle Whitmore wasting no time in the men's single buck, tearing this thing down in the first heat. Trevor and Berlin still struggling away, and it's going to be Trevor Schofield first one down.